Hey everyone, Brendan from Goalorious, and today we're talking about an exciting new project called Bitcoin. Just kidding. Obviously, you guys know about Bitcoin, but I'm going to talk about what consumers think about Bitcoin. I'm also going to talk about just some like Bitcoin facts and things like that. Obviously, the market is down right now, and a lot of people are attributed to all the things going around with Bitcoin in the news and things like that. So we're going to dive into specific things like that. But just as a reminder, you're not investing in anything. I'm not telling you guys what to invest in. Obviously, you guys probably made your own decision a while ago if you're going to be investing in Bitcoin. But I do think that Bitcoin is going to have a very bright future. I still am constantly buying Bitcoin. But remember, do your own advice and figure out if Bitcoin is for you. Because I know there's a lot of people that like, well, they felt like they missed the boat on Bitcoin or Bitcoin's too expensive and start buying other things, which is totally fine. But I think you just should take a deep dive into figuring out, okay, what is Bitcoin? What are people using it for? What's the future of it? And just really figure out for yourself, because potentially it could be now a good time to buy it since the price has been going down. But then again, so much things could be happening. I know there's still a lot of people that feel like Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000, 200,000 by the end of the year. Who knows? Obviously, no one can tell the future. But again, it's just focus on what we can control and what we know. And that is, what is Bitcoin as utility? Who are the people supporting Bitcoin? And what are the things that is going to be happening in the near future? So without further ado, let's talk about Bitcoin. And here we are. So this is another video, because remember, I put these images together for Instagram, but I feel like a lot of people that subscribe to my YouTube channel don't look at my Instagram, which is totally fine. But I wanted to present the data that the team put together, and we kind of wanted to show because we think it's great data, and we wanted to showcase it with you guys today. So what do consumers think of Bitcoin? So the first thing I want to call out from this graph specifically is, obviously this is not going to be adding up to 100%, just because of the fact that each question is individual of each other. So the example would be 76% of people, again, surveyed, 76% of people are not familiar with Bitcoin. So that means 24% people are familiar with Bitcoin. So the idea here is that we're just trying to base off a basic question, which people, how people think of Bitcoin and whether they know about it. So this specific question means that 24% of the people, which is a very small amount, know what Bitcoin is. Maybe they've heard about it. They don't know exactly what it is, but at least they've heard about it. But 76% are just not familiar. They don't understand what it is at all. Maybe they know it's a cryptocurrency, but beyond that, they're not sure exactly what it is or how to buy it. So I thought that was interesting. So we'll just move around in a circle. So 79% of those surveyed have never considered using an alternative form of currency like Bitcoin. They're using the fiat currency, US dollar, or whatever they're using their country. They're just like, why would I use something else? This is what I've known. This is what people have used. But they just don't know the the possibilities of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Obviously, ease of use, and I went over my last video about it could be a global currency and it's easy to buy and transact. So I think there's just like a lot of pros and cons to this, but I think people just don't know because they're used to working with banks and having credit cards and cash, etc. So that means 21% have actually thought about using a different form of currency, just because maybe they don't want to do with the banks, or they just want a faster way, or maybe they just feel like they want the currency that they use to be closer to themselves. So they want that wallet. 80% of those surveys would rather own gold instead of Bitcoin. So, and then that means 20% would rather have Bitcoin than gold. Obviously, gold, when we think about gold, is obviously very valuable. And we think that, I mean, it's hard to say yes or no here, right? How would I answer myself? I mean, I value Bitcoin a lot, but I guess I value gold a lot too. So that's a toss-up. So I would agree with, and I could see why people would say that. 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds, so 18 to 24-year-olds, would rather own Bitcoin instead of gold, versus 4% of those over 65. So again, this is like the young, hip people who, that this is what they want. 15% would rather own Bitcoin, but that means that 85% of them would rather own gold than Bitcoin. I guess because they feel like Bitcoin is very volatile. They feel like gold is something like, if you have a bar of gold, obviously that you probably feel safer holding it than just having this potential cryptocurrency. But I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? If I had a giant bar of gold, I could definitely see that value in that. And I think it's just the volatility, because I assume gold, and I don't know gold too much, but I assume it's constantly going up versus Bitcoin, which is kind of volatile. And it's just still, even several years later, it's still up in the air on like, what's the future of Bitcoin? What's going to be the value? So you could think of gold as more maybe like the safe approach. 30% of 18 to 24-year-olds believe that Bitcoin helps the US dollar versus only 10% of those over 65. So all these over 65, obviously people that are 65 and above are more traditional. They've been, if they're 65, they've been used to the US dollar. They've been used to gold. They understand that. So of course, anything new, they want to, they're just not used to it, and they probably are against it. I don't want to say against it, but they're just not, they're obviously going to side on things like the US dollar. I think Bitcoin, like I said, I think having an alternative for consumers is always, and that's a big thing for me, is like give people the options and let them decide. Don't just force people to use one way. I think being able to, and there's lots of pros and cons to US dollar, keeping with the bank, versus obviously Bitcoin, obviously security, but also I know a lot of people obviously potentially lose out on that, then they can't retrieve it back. But, there's pros and cons to both. And I think, 18 to 24-year-olds believe that Bitcoin helps the US dollar. And I guess it's that options thing, right? And obviously the idea is that the more value that you have in Bitcoin, that and the utility you have it, that's going to help the US dollar. And then this one, 38% believe that Bitcoin hurts the US dollar. And that's just overall, not just in a specific age range. And I don't know. I don't really have an opinion here. I think it's kind of separate, I guess. I think they're kind of independent of each other. Similar to like different cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think it's just all, they could be used for different things. Obviously, Bitcoin's not going to be used for everything, but there's specific things that you could buy and transact with the Bitcoin that's probably better than US dollar, and vice versa. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, if you want to learn more, check out our Instagram. Thought this one is interesting as well. I'm saying it's interesting because we made it, but I think it is interesting. The data that we ended up getting. The price value of Bitcoin. Investors hold, buy, and sell Bitcoin on the market. So these are like the different people in the Bitcoin economy. So if you're an investor, you're holding Bitcoin, you're watching the markets, figuring out when's the best time to sell or potentially buy more when there's a dip. Institutions buy Bitcoin on private markets. Right. You've seen a lot of this in the news about they want to make these big purchases. They want to, have an investment. Obviously, Tesla made a bunch off of Bitcoin, obviously bought a bunch and sold a bunch, but more and more people are like, especially now with the dip, are like investing in it because they believe that that's going to be the number one cryptocurrency moving forward. Traders, short and long Bitcoin derivatives. Again, these are like the day traders that are like constantly looking at things, and like if they see that Bitcoin is down now, they want to invest and then, sell, relatively quickly. I think that how it's different from the investors is a lot of investors are just going to like, I'm just going to keep buying Bitcoin and then just hold it, wait 5-10 years, and then hopefully the value will increase. Because if you look at it where Bitcoin was 5-10 years ago, that was some great growth. Project. Sell Bitcoin to fund projects. The idea is that, a lot of people are holding Bitcoin, but I think when something comes along that they feel like they want to fund, whether it's maybe a new cryptocurrency project or something else, selling Bitcoin in order to get that cash flow, I think it makes sense. And then we all know miners inject new Bitcoin to circulation. Still a lot of people making money off not just mining Bitcoin, but other things like Ethereum, etc. That's a whole different thing. As long as you have a powerful computer and you know what you're doing, definitely something that can be very lucrative. And then the last thing that I wanted to, just really talk about is success takes a lot of time. And I think this is just like a overall big message to everyone. Obviously, don't take this financial advice, but the idea is that just because you invest in something, nothing ever in life, I mean, sometimes maybe you're really lucky, is like, you invest in something and the next day you're a millionaire. Obviously, different things, normally, It takes a lot of time to actually grow and things like that. That's why I like talking about new cryptocurrency projects, because I'm initially telling you guys about this, but then I want to watch them as the weeks, months, years go to check in on them and see what that project develops into. But this specifically, TV took 25 years to reach 25% of US households. Everyone now, and it's in probably 100% of every household. Internet took 5 years to reach 20% of US households. So again, looking back at Bitcoin is just 10 years old and it's ready. 5% of Americans are holding it. So the idea is that it takes a while, just because something is new, that people just because something new, people aren't used to it. And they're like, well, you shouldn't just, think that it's not valuable or anything like that. I think it just takes a while. It takes like a lot of education. And that's why I'm big on and that's one of the reasons why I made this channel, is I want to educate people on the value of not just Bitcoin, but just cryptocurrency in general, because I do strongly believe in it. And same thing with this. Like back then, 25 years ago, I'm sure there was people, I was gonna say like me, but people who wanted people to see the value in the TV, or people 5 years ago wanted people to see the value in the internet, being able to access anything from your computer, be able to look up something. I think about how the internet is used today on not just computers, every single mobile device. And I think about Bitcoin potentially 5-10 years from now. Think about all the utility that could potentially have, that you could use it for global transactions, fast transactions, not having to go through government, etc. There's lots of pros to that, and not just Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies. And I think it's still early on in cryptocurrency. I still think that there's a lot of room for growth and improvement. I don't want to say that cryptocurrency is perfect, because there's a lot of things that people are doing to improve. Even if you think about Bitcoin, Ethereum has a lot of pros that they learned from Bitcoin that they've improved on. And I think that more of that's going to come in the near future. But again, success takes a lot of time. And I think if we keep watching the cryptocurrency, we keep helping projects, investing in projects, pushing projects, educating others. New people are getting into cryptocurrency every day, encouraging others. I mean, you should encourage people to buy into their projects, but encourage people to do their own research, figure it out, understand cryptocurrency, and hopefully, that'll make us all in a better place. So thanks everyone for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this. And that's it. Bitcoin going to be going up in the near future. Don't take that as financial advice, but thanks everyone for watching. Catch you guys next time.